Have you ever thought about how the United States, a very strong country, began? Let's travel back in time. It all started a long time ago when the first people arrived in North America. These people were the first to call this place their home, like the Native American tribes. After that, people from Europe came looking for new places. They found a new place full of good things. Their arrival changed North America forever. In 1607, the first group from England started a place to live called Jamestown, in a place we call Virginia now. This was the start of a big change where the United States began to form. So a new world was being made, getting ready for a country that would be very important in the history of the world. How did some British colonies decide to make their own country? Imagine this, 13 colonies, all different in how they made money and their way of life, but all under British rule. By the middle of the 18th century, the colonists began to feel unhappy. They thought the taxes set by the faraway king were not fair. This started the first signs of revolt. No taxation without representation was their battle cry, heard from Massachusetts to Georgia. The Boston Tea Party wasn't about liking tea, but about the colonists' growing anger. This led to key events that would change history. The First Continental Congress, the fights at Lexington and Concord, signing the Declaration of Independence in 1776. These were big steps towards becoming free. With the sound of the Liberty Bell, a new country was made because they wanted freedom and to rule themselves. What happens when you say you want to be a country by yourself? How do you start building a country? Let's look at the USA for an example. After the big fight of the Revolutionary War, the people who started the country had the huge job of writing a rule book. This was really hard. They needed to make a system where the states and the big government both had power, but also made sure each person had rights. After a lot of talking and agreeing, the rule book was accepted in the year 1788. After this was done, they needed to pick a leader. George Washington was the first leader or president of the USA in the year 1789. But making a new country is not easy. The USA had lots of problems in the 19th century, like adding new land and a big civil war. So the USA as we know it started, but there was still a long way to go. How did America go from being a new country to a powerful leader in the world? This is the question that takes us into the 1900s, a time often called the American century. This change started when America took part in the world wars. The country came out as a global leader, showing its strong army and smart strategies. But the American century wasn't just about wars and politics. It was a time of big growth in money and technology. From the start of the car industry to the creation of Silicon Valley, America was leading in the world's biggest new things. The country's money grew a lot, making wealth and chances for its people. With the launch of the Apollo missions, America even went into space, leaving its mark on the moon. From a land found by explorers to a nation that explores space, America has come a long way. After the 1900s, the United States was dealing with new problems and chances on the world stage. As it entered the time of the Cold War, it was like playing a risky game of chess with the Soviet Union. This time was full of different beliefs, threats of nuclear weapons, and a competition for the best technology and space control. At the same time, the United States was also seeing big changes in society and politics at home. The civil rights movement was growing, pushing the country to truly offer freedom and fairness to everyone. The country was also dealing with changes in the economy as the types of industries and jobs were changing. Despite these challenges, the United States stayed strong. It used talks, new ideas, and a focus on democratic values to get through these tough times. From the hard fights of the world wars to the quiet bravery of the civil rights movement, the United States kept changing, adjusting, and working towards a better country. Before we start talking about how the United States was formed, let's quickly remember what we've learned so far. We've talked about how America was born, how it became independent, how it grew into a country, how it got so powerful in the world, and how it dealt with difficult times during the Cold War. We've seen that America has always been able to face challenges and change. And remember, it was the beliefs in freedom and fairness that helped the country during the tough times of the Cold War and all the changes in society and politics that happened then. During this time, the country changed, faced challenges, and worked hard to be a better country, all while dealing with the big challenges of world politics. And now, as we start to talk about how the states came together to form one country, we should remember that these challenges and changes shaped America into the varied and lively country it is now. A country that keeps growing and changing, always working to keep true to the principles it was founded on. So, how did these separate states join to make the United States of America? It all comes down to a special system of government called federalism. This system shares power between a main government and individual states. This clever idea was put into the United States Constitution in 1788 to help create a better union. It made a plan for a strong but flexible main government that understood the rights of its states. As the country grew, the number of states also grew. We began with the first 13 colonies, each with its own culture, economy, and history. Gradually, the country grew towards the west, including new states. From buying land from Louisiana to including Hawaii, the United States grew from the first 13 to the 50 different and active states we know now. From one end to the other, these United States make a varied and active country, showing the idea of e pluribus unum, out of many, one. This phrase, found on the Great Seal of the United States, shows the true spirit of this country. A bunch of states, each unique, but all united under one flag, one constitution, and a common dream of freedom and success.